My name is Paige and this is my channel on YouTube. If you don't follow me, I just recently moved to Idaho, beginning of April. I've been here almost a month, which is crazy to me. And I've been wanting to make this video about just what I've learned from living in Idaho for almost a month and how different it is from California. I'm originally from Southern California and I've been living there pretty much my whole life. I did go away for college for a bit. You know, I've traveled a bit, lived in different spots, but not long term. So this is definitely a new experience and I'm super excited for what the year has in store. It's definitely been a big change and a big adjustment, even for Cleo, my cat. She's had to learn to be inside more often because she was way more of an outdoor cat back in SoCal, considering how much milder the weather was, I guess. So now that it's warming up finally and the sun's out here in Idaho, she's been able to go out, but I'm still going through the process again of training her to be an indoor-outdoor cat. I have a whole video about this that I'll link below. I've talked about it in other videos. My last video was conscious cat care and how I take care of Cleo. It's something I'm still learning. But basically, I'm going through the whole process of training her to be comfortable being indoors and outdoors and making sure she knows where home is. The thing that I worry about here is hawks because they're obviously more predator type animals and Cleo's a tiny cat. So right now she's only outside on a leash and we're gonna see how that goes. So this video is all about why I moved from California to Idaho and specifically Southeast Idaho. Why I picked that area, I know people in this area, mainly my dad and stepmom. I also have some other family, but other than that, I don't know anyone in Idaho. The biggest overall reason we moved here was, I mean, it's cheaper. That's a huge fact about Idaho, at least this area. I can't speak to the whole of Idaho because I don't really know what it's like, but as far as I know, this area is way cheaper. That means cheaper food, cheaper gas, cheaper rent, cheaper bills, like cheaper car registers. All these things are just relatively cheaper. With that being said, the minimum wage here is much lower than like it is in California. What is the minimum wage in Idaho?
It's $7.25 per hour.
Okay, so yeah, the minimum wage here in Idaho currently is $7.25. And I think in California it's 15 or 17. What is the minimum wage of California?
It's $15.50 per hour.
In California, it's $15.50 per hour. That is just a bit more than half of what it is here, which is insane to me. So if you just can think of that in terms of how much cheaper things are here, then you'll get a better idea that yes, minimum wage is lower, but the cost of living is lower. However, if you find a job where you're not getting paid minimum wage, then you're able to save up more in the long haul and pay less. Whereas in California, it always felt like I was working so much, barely making ends meet. I mean, there was one time I was working like 5 or 6 jobs and I just was like going on this treadmill and it felt like for what, you know? And I feel like we as in like people my age and my husband, like we're not alone in this. Like I know other people who are doing this too. And a lot of people are making work because they're living with family or finding a way to not pay for rent or not pay as much for rent, which is doable. It's some people just don't have that option. And I don't have much family back in California and that wasn't an option for me. So we were able to find a much cheaper and affordable apartment here. And our goal is to both work full-time jobs that we're getting paid more than the minimum wage so that we can in the long run save up more money to pursue our actual dream. And that's something that we're working on. It's like, you know, out there, this plan that we're manifesting, because ideally we do want to buy land and have either like a tiny cabin or a tiny house on wheels on our property and grow food. I want Cleo to just be free to run, and I want our kids, our future kids, to have the space and freedom to just be kids and be wild, you know? So that's our dream. Okay, so moving on. Another thing here is that there are more opportunities. So granted, there is less people here, but I just, from what I've seen so far, having a degree, I am not competing with a ton of other people in California who all have degrees, but probably better degrees than I do, who are trying to get this one job, right? So there's one job. This is like, okay, in California, there's one job and there's like 100 people trying to get this one job, right? And you may have all the qualifications, but then you still won't get it because there are all these other people who might have better qualifications, even though the job is something that you would still qualify for. Does that make sense? So here, how I see it, like there's one job here in Idaho and there's like maybe 10 people going for it, but you still meet the requirements and you still get the interview and then get the job. Like that to me is way more stress-free than having to constantly establish my self-worth in jobs in California when I felt like it was never enough. And it took me, I would say, about 2 weeks to get a job here in Idaho, and a job that like I actually feel could become a career. At least it's accepting my major and like not requiring more of me for the job. And it's still a really good job. So I'm super excited to start that and see how that goes. But it's just like night and day in comparison to like how much I struggled just to like get a good job in California to here in 2 weeks. I'm like in a really good job, you know? So that's exciting. But to speak more on that, it's just in Idaho, I feel like there's less competition. Like I'm not trying to like be flashy in Idaho or prove our status or have the nicest, latest car or have tons of plastic surgery. Granted, there might be people here that like that, and that's fine, but it's not like overwhelmingly like that here. Hi, Cleo. I feel like in California, especially in Southern California, I should say, because I do want to speak to where I'm from. You know, the influence of LA is huge, and a lot of people get caught up too in just this like need for more money to prove something, you know? And it felt very fake. It felt very like surface level, and I didn't like that. It annoyed me, you know? Consumerism is like a huge thing all over, but I feel like especially in Southern California, it was like even more so, you know? So here in Idaho, I don't get that feeling. I don't get that sense from people. I don't see people who are, you know, flashy. Granted, I haven't gone to all of Idaho, so I don't know, but here it's different. Like here it's way more rural, and you know, people are more humble and don't care about having the latest style or gadgets. It's just nice. I would say overall that the people here in Idaho have been super friendly. I know there's a weird thing about mentioning to people here if you're from California, whether it's a whole political thing or not. I'm not trying to get involved in that. I'm not trying to change Idaho or bring progressive values to Idaho. No, that's not what I'm doing at all. People in Idaho are saying that those from other states come into the state to live, but then raise the housing market for everyone, which I feel like this happens anywhere. And, you know, it's weird to me that like people would become so protective of their state. Granted, there should just be affordable housing everywhere. And if there are people who can't find affordable housing in California, who says they have to stay in California? Like the beauty of living in this country is that we can go from state to state. It's not like we're hopping from country to country. I feel like there's a lot of fear from certain states with people that like they don't want change, right? They don't want people coming in with, like I said, their politics, or if we don't have change, like nothing will grow. But change isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's beautiful that places are becoming more diverse, especially in America, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. And another reason we moved here was because of how much slower the pace of life. There's no traffic, there's like, you know, again, not this like constant rush or need to do all the time. And this is something me and my husband have experienced past couple years. When we did visit my dad, we've been coming here for the past 3 years every summer, and there's just like, I can't even describe it into words. There's just a sort of peace that comes with being in spaces that are more open and less crowded and busy. And there's more nature and just the beauty of the stillness in nature, you know. It's just, yeah, it's really hard to express that in words, but a lot of people here have told me that, you know, things are just a little bit slower and calmer. And I'm like, yeah, I can really sense that in a couple weeks. And that's something that I've been craving so much, being like from SoCal, where I felt so frenzied and overstimulated, especially because I think I'm way more sensitive to EMFs, and obviously being in a very busy city that is massive, you know, like, it's just like I can never take a deep breath. I feel like those who are sensitive to, you know, energy and electricity would understand that too. But it was just a weird feeling, and yeah, it wasn't healthy at all. So we knew, you know, we needed to get out of there, and it was just a matter of time. So this whole plan to come to Idaho has been basically 3 years in the making. So another great thing about Idaho is that you can experience 4 seasons. That's something I never really had the luxury or privilege of experiencing, because I take the weather for granted in California. People flock to California because of the weather. But honestly, there's something so special, I think, about honoring the 4 seasons and working with it rather than against it. And I'm super excited for that. I really want to experience winter, like just honor that time period of like slowing down even more and resting and hibernating and focusing inwards instead of outwards. Like all these things about seasons that we can relate to our own life is something that I've been really craving. I really think that's something that's gonna help me stay rooted and stay grounded, which is something that I've been really struggling with too in my own life. So I'm excited to experience winter, although I've heard that this past winter has been not the norm because it's been a longer winter. So hopefully it's not always like this, because I do like my sun, but we shall see. And you know what, we're just gonna give it a try. If it doesn't work out within the year, or we just really hate winter here, then who says we have to stay here? We can go somewhere else. And that is the beauty of traveling and moving, although moving is very annoying and I don't wanna do it anytime soon, but you know, we'll see about that. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video about why we moved here is nature. Come on, guys, like look at Idaho. There's nature everywhere, and like it's not necessarily manufactured nature. So what I mean by that is, in California, yes, you can go to parks, yes, you can go to the beach or mountains, and there's still untainted parts of California, if you will, but a lot of it's still very manufactured because it's become like very touristy and very congested with people who flock to these areas. So it's not the same experience of being in nature that Idaho possesses. And Idaho is so diverse in its landscape and even its climate. There's so many things from, you know, hot springs to mountain ranges and tons of valleys and waterfalls and lava hot springs, or some kind of lava thing. I don't know, I'm learning, because I know there's a place called Lava Hot Springs, so I'm assuming there has to be some type of lava hot spring there. But anywho, there's just so much diversity here, and it's beautiful, and I'm so excited to get to explore and go on road trips and experience it, and go to Yellowstone because it's so close, and the Grand Tetons, and oh my gosh, it feels so exciting and exhilarating that like we can take a day trip and really be out in the boonies here, and yet be so close and feel safe. So yeah, nature here is on a different level, and that's for sure. And I am ready to experience it. I'm ready to connect with this beauty, and yeah, excited for that. So that's what I'm gonna be doing a lot of this summer, is exploring. So that is all for this video. Just wanted to share what brought us here to Idaho. Please don't say any hateful things in the comments section about why we shouldn't be here. Because everything about Idaho so far has been amazing and beautiful, and I do appreciate the state and the people and the culture, and I just want to learn, you know? So please be kind in the comments. And if anyone has any suggestions for Idaho, that would be great. I really don't understand why my hair is so frizzy or my hands are so dry, besides the fact that it's dry here and higher elevation. But if anyone can give me any tips or tricks for that, that'd be much appreciated. And if you like this video and my content, please subscribe. It will help me and support this channel. I will be bringing some more videos now that I feel more established here in Idaho. I have lots of videos ready, so I will see you guys again in the next video, and stay tuned for that. Besitos. Love you guys so much. Take care. Bye. I was looking for Cleo this whole time and she was sitting right behind me, just sleeping. Hi, Cleo.